Hello, professionals. This is Dr. Saad, and we are recording series of lecture for the preparation of CAPS exam and Pharmacist International Equivalency exam. For new pharmacists, it is a request to go and review previous video. You will get why we are talking about right now and what's our plan. So, without wasting more time, let's move on our topic, that is the nervous system. Nervous system. I'm sure you are well acquainted of this nervous system, but just for a revision, I want to tell you that nervous system is divided into two major types. That is the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system contains brain and spinal cord, and peripheral nervous system contain two major components. That is the efferent and afferent nerve. Afferent nerve further divided into the somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Somatic nervous system is a nervous system which controls all conscious activity of the body, and autonomic nervous system is further subdivided into two major types. That is the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Sometimes enteric nervous system is also defined as its third division because it contains highly organized cluster of neuron in the gastrointestinal tract. But more majorly, we will discuss here the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. And as I told you, that autonomic nervous system main function is to control the visceral activity, which play a very key role in, for example, in maintenance of cardiac output, blood regulation, and digestion. So you must need to know about here the nerve fiber and ganglion. The point where two nerve fiber combines, or you can say collection of nerve fiber, this point is known as ganglion. And nerve fiber, and as I told you that autonomic nervous system is further subdivided into two major types, that is the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. According to Katzen 14 edition, this division is based on the types of transmission, like ganglion in sympathetic nervous system is their position is more closer to the spinal cord, and in parasympathetic nervous system it is away from the spinal cord or sometimes lies within the effector organ. And according to book, this is kind of this is the basic difference on the base of the anatomy, is the on the base of anatomy of ganglion. That's why sympathetic and parasympathetic transmission are being considered separately anatomically. Mm, Why I am again and again mentioning here ganglion and nerve terminal? It's because this is very important for us. Why? Because at ganglion and nerve terminal, message is being transferred through a chemical messenger. These messengers is known as neurotransmitters. This is that point which we modulate and use for our therapeutic objectives. But before going in its detail, I would like to let you know about some transmissions and their effectors and their role. The chemical messengers are actually two major types, although there are other subtypes also, but actually there are two major types, that is the acetylcholine and adrenaline, or you can say non-epinephrine. Acetylcholine is considered as a primary neurotransmitter, and all nerves that leaves the central nervous system always use this transmitter to transmit its message, either for the sympathetic division, either for to coordinate with the adrenal gland, or to regulate the somatic nerves, or to transmit the message for the sympathetic nervous system. All CNS nerves use this transmitter. Secondly, in parasympathetic nervous system, it is majorly used. A significant amount of nitric oxide and other peptides are also used in parasympathetic as a neurotransmitter, but major share is of acetylcholine. Third, in sympathetic nervous system, sweat gland is being controlled by these acetylcholine neurotransmitter at the point of ganglia. And as long as the non-epinephrine is concerned, it is also a very important neurotransmitter. It is also known as noradrenaline or adrenergic. That's why it's often known as the adrenergic transmission. Uh, because in sympathetic nervous system, for the regulation of smooth muscles, our like smooth muscles and glands and nerve terminals and renal related functioning. It is controlled through the norepinephrine. There are significant in specific circumstances. Dopamine is also used by sympathetic nervous system to regulate some functioning. So, keeping my all discussion short, I just want to let you know one thing, that norepinephrine, which is commonly known as noradrenaline or adrenergic transmissions, and on the other hand, acetylcholine. These are the two basic neurotransmitter, which is very important, and we use it as a potential target for our pharmacological therapy, and our upcoming therapeutic plannings and medical implication will be based upon this. So that's why I would like to tell you about detail of its these neurotransmitters, like how cholinergic transmission happens and how adrenergic transmission happens, just for within a few steps. And that steps is being used as a mechanism of action of our drug implication. I'm sure you are well acquainted of it. Just get revival, just revise, just for your revision. I'm going to tell you like this. As you know, cholinergic transmission intracholinergic transmission at nerve terminal. For cholinergic transmission, choline enters the nerve terminal, and from mitochondria or acetyl-CoA combines with the help of acetylcholine transferase enzyme. It finally converts it into the form of acetylcholine, which is stored into the vesicles, and this vesicle is being kept safe until depolarization happens for the nerve transmission. And this transmission actually depend upon the extracellular calcium level. As calcium level influx into the nerve terminal, immediately acetylcholine vesicle expels out from this presynaptic nerve into the synaptic cleft, and they bind to the receptor and produce a specific response. Once response is finished, excess amount of acetylcholine is being diffused for acetylcholine esterase, which split acetylcholine to acetate and choline. No, this at this stage, acetylcholine is no more in position to carry out its neurotransmitter activity because it is in a separate form. So this choline went again for recycling, and sometimes some of the acetylcholine as such is being reabsorbed by the acetylcholine autoreceptor in the nerve terminal. So this is keep on going. This is cholinergic transmission. Similarly, move on next, that is the adrenergic transmission. Here, tyrosine enters in nerve terminal. With the help of tyrosine hydroxylase enzyme, it converts into the form of dopamine, which is further converted into the form of norepinephrine, adenosine triphosphate, and it is saved into the vesicle. And this vesicle has been kept safe as in response to the depolarization or messenger nerve arrival. Calcium influx leads to its expulsion to the synaptic cleft, and it transmits message. But here is a difference in cholinergic transmission and adrenergic transmission, is that there is no any adrenergic esterase types thing which breaks to this norepinephrine adrenaline into, or adrenergic transmission into their different parts. Actually, it diffused into the blood or reabsorbed by these receptors of the nerve terminal, and this cycle is kept on going. As according to research, as this is a very sophisticated and very fast system. Just for your understanding, I just want to let you know that one vesicle can contain from 100 to 50,000 these neurotransmitters, and only at the arrival of one somatic nerve, several of hundreds of vesicle is released into the synaptic cleft, and it is capable of supporting a very high rate of nerve transmission. So this is just for mechanism. I told you various steps, but according when it is happening, as it is constantly happening and managing our body functions, it is a very quick and very sophisticated system. So we use these two cholinergic and adrenergic transmission at their site of synthesis, storage, release, reabsorption for our therapeutic objectives. So on the basis of this, we classified it into the further four chapters. Sometimes we inhibits them, and sometimes we use them to. Sometimes we you can say mimic their actions to get our pharmacotherapeutic objective. That is all. So we will discuss it in later on. Let's move on towards the next physiological point, that is the receptor. Once cholinergic and adrenergic transmission releases into synaptic cleft and it binds to its receptor, what happens later on? There are some cholinergic receptors which is known as muscarinic receptors. It's is being classified from the M1, M2, M3, M4, M5, and nicotinic receptors also comes under the command of cholinergic transmission. Similarly, adrenergic transmission regulates the transmission of alpha receptors, which is divided into alpha 1, alpha 2, and beta receptors, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3. These receptors are available in various body parts, from the glands, hearts, respiratory area, and you can see it is actually available. Let me tell you in a detail. Like these receptors, alpha, beta, alpha, muscarinic receptors and adrenergic receptors are spread across the eye, heart, blood vessels, bronchial smooth muscles, gastrointestinal tracts, genitourinary system, skin, and metabolic system. Metabolic is being also controlled by this. Like in liver, it is also available. These receptors are a very organized way placed in these organs, and we use our autonomic nervous system is always managing them by modulating their functions. For example, I'm not going to tell you that which is what happens when M1 is being mimics, and what happens when M1 is being blocked. Why? I'm sure we will definitely forget it. We will jump directly towards the therapeutic planning, and with respect to our therapeutic objective, we will recall these receptors. In this way, it will play a key role in our long-term memory. Otherwise, as once we start memorizing the receptors and their role and their inhibitory and excitation and constriction actions, we will definitely forget it. We will discuss in detail. Just for your revival, I would like to tell you that by use of this autonomic nervous system, we can use in eye we can use to treat for the glaucoma. Retinal examination for heart we can use for the orthostatic hypertension, our heart failure, hypertensive emergency, angina, arrhythmia, and void wasting. Okay, these are all our therapeutic objective which we achieve by use of the system in heart. Similarly, in blood vessels, similarly into the respiratory system, we use it for the smoking cessation, bronchospasm, asthma, and in gastrointestinal tract, we use it in the for the treatment of motion, IBS, and for the management of motion sickness, nausea, and vomiting. Our urinary tract system, we use it for the urinary incontinency, and we can also use this system for the treatment of myasthenia gravis. And similarly, post-operative spasm and Parkinson disease and migraine are also being treated with the help of these autonomic drugs. And there are some poisons like cholinergic esterase inhibitor poisons, because cholinergic esterase isn't available there, and level of ACH kept on increasing and response kept on increasing. So we use cholinergic antagonist as an antidote. So for that emergency management, for overall in all these organ, we will manage various types of disease by the use of this system, and you will see autonomic drugs in the therapeutic planning of many diseases, like especially beat heart, hypertension, and cardiovascular related disease is extensively treated with the help of these adrenergic transmissions by the control of beta and alpha blockers and other things. We will discuss everything in detail, but here I close my video, and I want to just tell you that in the next video we will first of all discuss all those points from all these four chapters, all the chapters of autonomic nervous system which can be asked in exam. And in the end, we will conclude in the classification of drugs, and we will conclude this chapter like this way. Thank you so much for listening my video. I tried my best to stay within the domain. That's why I draw some points to avoid over speaking in here without any proper plan. So thank you so much. This is my all today's video. In next video, I will let you know about specific question which can be the part of our international equivalency exams. And if you notice that our video is helpful for you, kindly subscribe.